For 36 long years, Riley Keough kept a secret that might have doomed her career in its infancy. While incarcerated, she contacted her mother from a distance when she was 15 years old. No one ever heard of the story. The photo of her face faded. Still, that was only the start. She was Michael Jackson's longtime housemate at Neverland Ranch, saw her mother freeze her brother's corpse for 2 months after he died, and went to court with her grandmother over Elvis's $100 million estate. After much hesitation, she is now prepared to reveal the truth about what transpired in private. Santa Monica Hospital was the site of Riley Keough's birth on May 29, 1989. There was anarchy ever since she came into this world. For 3 days straight, more than 200 paparazzi set up camp outside. Prior to her conscious awakening, her birth weight, a mere 7 lb and 2 O's, grabbed the attention of 47 nations. Despite her young age, Lisa Marie Presley made history. Obsessed Elvis fans who thought Riley's birth had harmed the Presley line began threatening her life. An additional $50,000 was spent daily by the hospital on security. In order to ensure Riley's safety, they utilized phony ambulances and records. People magazine $300,000 for her DEET photo. More than $700,000 in today's money. She was not allowed to even touch the $100 million trust that was left to her by Elvis's estate until she reached the age of 25. Wars broke out in the family over finances even before the baby was born. In August 1994, when Riley was 6 years and 3 months old, her parents' marriage began to crumble. They spent $2.3 million on legal fees during the 18-month duration of the divorce. Danny Keough, her father, was fighting an addiction to drugs. He lost custody after failing 7 tests ordered by the court. Riley was compelled to alternate between her parents' modest Hawaiian bungalow, valued at $180,000, and their $5 million Calabasas mansion, valued at $5 million, every 10 days. It was a profound change in how I felt. According to court records, Riley was subjected to 12 boisterous and aggressive altercations, one of which involved Lisa Marie's hurling a $1,500 guitar that almost struck her. Therapy was made obligatory. She was obligated to go twice weekly for an entire year. Princesses in mourning and broken families were common themes in her artwork from those sessions. Riley was still unable to doze off on her own by the time she was 11 years old. Riley loved her time at Neverland Ranch, where she spent nearly 130 days annually between the ages of 5 and 7. A 700-acre paradise with a zoo, private amusement park, and a bedroom shaped like a castle was custom built for her at a cost of $200,000. It was all magic to her, and she called Michael Jackson Daddy Michael. However, unsettling events were taking place behind the scenes of the magic. Jackson paid $23 million to resolve a molestation accusation in 1993, right before she began visiting. That was something Riley was unaware of. The only sleepovers she could recall were the ones where she was sent straight to her room as soon as a group of unidentified youngsters showed up in helicopters at midnight. Lisa Marie deleted all Riley photos from Neverland after fresh accusations surfaced in 2003. To remove any trace of her daughter's presence, she had security removed. For the years between the ages of 8 and 12, Riley took it upon herself to look after her mother. Lisa Marie's daily OxyContin dosage could reach 80 milligrams, and she was also dependent on alcohol, sleeping pills, and painkillers. The discovery of her mom unconscious on the floor prompted Riley to dial 911 no less than 4 times. She became adept at stowing away car keys and disposing of medications in the toilet. A supplier named Dr. Sandeep Kapoor would visit Lisa Marie 3 times a week and charge $500 for each visit. Riley was the one responsible for grocery shopping and meal preparation. In 2001, while driving to school, Lisa Marie attempted to get high and slammed into a parking meter, damaging it and costing $8,000 to fix. Riley was rescued from the vehicle by security personnel. Her father finally came to retrieve her after she had spent 6 hours in the principal's office. CPS ended their investigation after Lisa Marie checked into a $275 a rehab in Malibu. While Riley was 13 years old, her mother tied the knot in Hawaii with Nicolas Cage in 2002. Only 12 people showed up for the $50,000 wedding. There was a brief 17-day marriage. Along with a $25,000 horse, Cage also purchased Riley a $15,000 leather jacket. However, the most vivid memory she had were the 23 squabbles that broke out between him and her mother. One involved Cage smashing a vase worth $3,000, which broke near Riley's feet. Cage forked over $1.3 million for the couple's divorce settlement and interim support payments. Without bidding farewell, he vanished. Lisa Marie gave all of his pricey presents to good causes. Riley mentioned that it shed light on the Hollywood love scene. Nothing ever stays. In January of 2025, Riley revealed a long-kept secret on the podcast Call Her Daddy. She was arrested for breaking into a house when she was 15 or 16 years old. The house, which she had assumed was hosting a party, was actually vacant and for sale. Police arrived. Riley was caught while most of the teens ran. 10 juveniles were placed under arrest. Riley had to make the call from behind bars since her mom was in Sin City. Marie Lisa was enraged. Riley was unable to celebrate her birthday that year due to her 3-month grounding. Riley claimed she was unaware that her mug shot had been published, and the news never ran with the story. Riley hit the fashion scene when she was just 14 years old. Tommy Hilfiger, David Yer, Dolce & Gabbana, and others offered her massive contracts. A 3-year contract was inked with Miss Dear Sherry prior to her 15th birthday. In 2004, she was a part of the Dolce & Gabbana show, and in 2005, she was Dear's. American Vogue featured her on its cover by August 2004. She graced the covers of 4 major magazines in 2005, Lishil, Japan, Korea, and France. While her career as a model was booming, she went through a risky, defiant phase. Secretly, she left. Arrested she was. She described it as the most precarious period of her life. Riley maintained that she was unaware of the charges against Michael Jackson, despite her stay at Neverland. No one ever informed her, she claimed. The children were never witnesses to their parents' arguments. It wasn't until much later that she found out about the accusations. She recalled a time when her parents' love for each other was genuine. Lisa Marie wrote in her journal, "If she had ever seen anything wrong with Michael, she would have killed him herself." In 2008, after a C-section, Lisa Marie gave birth to twins. Her addiction returned at that point, even more powerful than before. She began with painkillers, then used them for sleep, and eventually she became dependent on them. Her mother took 80 pills daily, Riley wrote later. For many years, Lisa Marie had remained sober. She skipped taking Tylenol altogether. Riley now watched as she whirled around. Lisa Marie expressed her desire to end her life in her writing. Being sober was too painful. She spent time in treatment, but then she relapsed and suffered a seizure. Her sobriety came about in due time. Riley, though, never felt that she was prepared to be sober for good. Unfortunately, Riley's family life made it so that she could not continue her education. After deciding to homeschool herself at the age of 17, she dropped out of school. At the age of 14, she considered quitting modeling altogether so that she could support herself. According to her, the mayhem at home never subsided. Her mom tied the knot with Michael Lockwood in 2006. More lawyers, more battles, and another divorce followed. Riley needed to mature quickly. She had a serious attitude toward acting from the time she was a little girl making home movies. Lisa Marie was assisted by her mom in penning her memoirs prior to her passing in January 2023. During Milan Fashion Week in February 2004, Riley made her runway debut. Contrary to what most articles claimed, she was actually 14 years old, not 15. The fashion designer boasted that she inherited her mother's good looks and her grandfather Elvis's charisma. According to her, it was lovely at the time, but seeing those photos afterwards made her cringe. Some claimed that her entire career was based solely on her name. No matter where she went, that criticism followed. She joined IMG Models that same year. Along with Priscilla Presley and Lisa Marie, she made an appearance on Vogue. This photo captures 3 generations of women. Riley, though, struggled with low self-esteem despite the photos. She endured cruel remarks, felt the need to maintain a thin body, and competed with actual supermodels. She would not be indulging in Elvis's beloved peanut butter and banana sandwiches, according to one tabloid. She took time away from modeling to deal with the mental health issues brought on by that type of bullying. Riley received her initial substantial payments from Dyer and David Yer in 2005. The Dyer photos she had taken featured her in couture gowns. She was shown in close-up for the jewelry ads. She received her first actual cash from these campaigns. Already a self-sufficient young woman, she was 16 years old. It was her Presley name, she said, that got her opportunities that other girls didn't. Even though she was making 6 figures, she couldn't help but feel bad that other gifted girls weren't able to receive the opportunities she had. In 2006, she was photographed at raucous parties by paparazzi. The girl was 17 years old. A scandal broke out due to the photos. Drug usage rumors were all over the tabloids. Reports speculated that Elvis's granddaughter was in a downward spiral. It was kept under wraps that she had previously been arrested for party break-ins. The pictures were now all over the place. Even high-end labels were hesitant. A wake-up call, according to Riley. At that moment, she knew she couldn't continue her modeling career. Riley began taking acting classes in 2007. She just wanted to be recognized for who she was, not labeled as a Nepo baby. Nobody believed her when they cast her. She was apparently just another wealthy girl in their eyes. According to her instructor, she put in more effort than her classmates. The advice her mom gave her was not easy. According to Lisa Marie, it would be humiliating if her acting skills were lacking. No one would give Riley a chance unless she was better than them, Riley said. She was driven to succeed by that pressure. In 2010, at the tender age of 20, Riley Keough made her film debut. In the film The Runaways, she portrayed Marie Curry, who was actually the twin sister of Cherie Curry, the lead singer of the 1970s all-girl rock band. An immediate uproar greeted the film's Sundance premiere. When Elvis Presley's granddaughter dove headfirst into a world of drug misuse, exploitation, and emotional collapses, nobody knew what to think. The story's striking resemblance to her own family's troubled history with addiction only added to the unease she felt. In order to play the role, Riley had to pick up the guitar. Her sister was pushed to choose between fame and survival by her character, who acted as an emotional barrier. Riley and Orlando Bloom's portrayal of the same character in 2011's The Good Doctor was considerably darker. The role she played was that of Diane Nixon, an 18-year-old patient who falls prey to a sick doctor's manipulative plot. The protagonist, played by Bloom, intentionally keeps herself ill, tampers with her medication, and then causes her own death. Riley, who was only 22 years old, played the role of a drugged and manipulated adolescent. Her character's sexual fantasies about the doctor, which she writes in her diary and then includes in her storyline after she dies, is one of the most bizarre parts of the film. Reviewers were astounded by how convincing Riley and Bloom's chemistry was. Playing the role of Nora, a stripper with pink hair, she became a member of Magic Mike in 2012. In her early career, this was a role that shocked many. People couldn't believe that Elvis's granddaughter, who was just 22 years old, was involved with a film that featured nude dancers. Members of the cast, including Channing Tatum, went to actual strip joints to gather information. The film's budget was only $7 million, but it managed to earn $168 million. Riley defied expectations for a member of the Presley family by playing a role that was fearless and unapologetic. She also starred in Jack and Diane, a supernatural lesbian romance, that same year. As far as 2012 productions go, it was among the most disorganized. Due to her hectic schedule, filming was postponed in 2010, the year she replaced another actress. It had an odd plot. Her protagonist would have hallucinations about becoming a werewolf whenever she had a sexual desire. Some critics thought it was awkward and confusing that Riley had intense scenes with Juno Temple. The unforgettable werewolf scenes were at odds with the film's emotional plot. Kiss of the Damned, a vampire flick that Riley starred in 2013, had more of an erotica vibe than a horror one. She made several nude appearances, which caused the tabloids to go into overdrive. This was more than just a tale about vampires. Under the direction of Alexandra Feets, it was passionate and alluring. People weren't sure what to think when they saw Elvis Presley's granddaughter entangled in a vampire romance in a movie. She was unabashedly assuming adult responsibilities at the age of 23. In 2015, with Mad Max Fury Road, she finally broke through. Riley portrayed Capable, a woman who escaped from captivity in a dystopian wasteland. During the 120-day shoot in Namibia, she did a lot of her own stunt work. It was terrible. Highs exceeded 120 degrees. Actors wore gas masks during sandstorms that swept through the set. Riley continued filming despite injuring her ankle during a chase. She was forever altered by that film. They were married in 2015 after she met stuntman Ben Smith Peterson. Crystal, a manipulative and scathing magazine crew manager, was her 2016 film role. A raw and unpredictable style defined the film, which relied on real people rather than actors. Riley, who came from a famous and rich family, had to completely immerse herself in the life of a poor person. Her performance was so good that the Independent Spirit Awards nominated her for Best Supporting Female. Her 2017 film debut was in the eerie family drama It Comes at Night. The fact that Riley was filming alongside her mother, Lisa Marie Presley's battle with addiction, only added weight to the situation. To her, the story's depiction of loneliness and powerlessness was all too accurate. As a filmmaker who had experienced the death of his own father, Riley was able to channel her authentic feelings into the role. She went on to say that seeing her mother's struggle in the film made her feel helpless. She also appeared in the heist film Logan Lucky that year, playing the role of a getaway driver. The pressure, however, was immense behind the scenes. She was followed by paparazzi who wanted to know how she felt about her mother's public breakdowns and financial issues. She gradually distanced herself from public events and social media. The world of film became her refuge. Her 2016 album, Girlfriend Experience, was one of her most daring releases to date. Christine Reed was a character played by Riley. She was a law student who had a secret job as an upscale escort. Every day, Riley would cast new actors to film the series' intensely personal and emotionally charged scenes. I was completely drained. Speaking with actual sex workers for her research, she revealed that the role frightened her, but the effort was worthwhile. She proved she could hold her own as a series lead by earning a Golden Globe nomination. She was in a terrifying 2018 film, The House That Jack Built, which featured her. Lars von Trier's film prompted more than 100 attendees to leave the Cannes Film Festival. Riley appeared in the film as a victim of a serial killer, and promotional materials for the film omitted Riley's name entirely. She was merely labeled as an incident. Riley missed the premiere due to scheduling conflicts, and critics were shocked by the film's violent content. The psychological horror she experienced for her part in The Lodge was intense. Riley, who played a cult survivor stranded in a cabin with her fiancé's children, began filming in March 2018. In order to fully immerse herself in her character's mental breakdown, she chose to isolate herself during filming. The way she completely immersed herself in the role, playing a character torn between terror and trauma, was praised by critics. A wild strip club trip gone wrong became a viral thread on Twitter in 2020, and she starred in the 2021 film Zola. A manipulative dancer named Stephanie who connives her friend into prostitution was portrayed by Riley. The story was crazy, the scenes were intense, and Riley gave a sharp and darkly funny performance. The Independent Spirit Awards were kind enough to nominate the picture 7 times. Daisy Jones and the Six, which came out in 2023, was her greatest challenge after that. A rock star was Riley's only option. She dedicated 6 months to honing her vocal and guitar skills. One of Amazon Prime's most watched debuts, the show cost the streaming service $200 million. Riley's audience thought she was lip-syncing because of how natural her performance was. It wasn't her. Her voice sung each note. Critics, who accused her of being a nepotism baby, were put to rest after she received an Emmy nomination for the role. However, there had been a severe reaction. In the one day after her casting was announced, she received 50,000 angry comments. She was said to have gotten roles by leveraging her Presley name. Riley came clean about her privileged background for the very first time. She went on to say that producers had auditioned over 200 actresses before selecting her. Riley won the Camera d'Or at Cannes in 2022 with her debut feature film, War Pony, which she directed. Grants were difficult to come by despite her fame. No less than 47 investors were interested in funding her and her co-director. She immersed herself in the Peneariage community by spending 6 months in a waterless trailer on the South Dakota reservation. Despite its worldwide acclaim, the film only managed to gross little over $100. And playing the role of journalist Rebecca Godfrey, Riley was a 2024 Hulu original series regular. Although the plot revolved around a teen murder case from 1997, Riley could relate. Immersing herself in the story helped her process the grief she was experiencing after her younger brother Benjamin's suicide in 2020. She was resolute in her pursuit of truth, and she combed through copious amounts of court documents and police reports. Riley portrayed the character haunting in the deeply personal crime drama that rose to the top of Hulu's crime series. While shooting Mad Maxi, Fury Road in Namibia in 2012, Riley Keough initially crossed paths with Ben Smith-Peterson. Immortan Joe was merely a stuntman and she was one of his wives. They took their time falling in love. That didn't take place until the reshoots in Australia a year down the road in 2013. Following that, things progressed swiftly. After becoming engaged in 2014, they tied the knot in Napa, California on February 4, 2015. Their married life began, however, with Riley's family problems intensifying. Benjamin, her brother, was struggling with alcoholism and depression. Throughout, Ben was there for her. After a while, in January of 2023, Riley was unable to speak at her mother's funeral. Ben took it upon himself to read the tribute that Riley had written. Riley and Ben Peterson welcomed a daughter, Tupelo Stormith, into the world in August 2022. After Riley's struggles with Lyme disease and autoimmune issues, they decided to go with surrogacy. She was able to carry children before, but she was afraid to try. For months, they concealed the fact that the baby had been born, with the sole exception of the funeral for Lisa Marie. Another unexpected development occurred in 2025. Nobody knew they were expecting again until September, when Priscilla Presley inadvertently brought it up in an interview. "I love her babies. I'm really happy for Riley. She's got an amazing husband and 2 great children." However, Riley's love life hadn't always been peachy. Alex Pettiford, an actor, was in a brief relationship before Ben. They first crossed paths in 2011 while filming Magic Mike, and the paparazzi soon afterward photographed them kissing. She had on a ring with a greenish emerald stone by the beginning of 2012. Rumors of Alex's infidelity caused a painful breakup. Even though everyone thought a wedding was on the way, Riley reflected on her early 20s and how they felt like a chaotic and perplexing time. She had to go through it all to get the hang of it. The tragic loss of Riley's brother Benjamin Keough, who took his own life at the age of 27, occurred in July 2020. Riley included one of the most unsettling details in her mother Lisa Marie's memoir. Before burying Benjamin, Lisa Marie preserved his body for 2 months in a casita beside their house using dry ice. She acknowledged that she had acted similarly upon Elvis's death and stated that there was no legislation mandating a hasty funeral. Riley considered cutting that section from the book but ultimately decided to leave it in. According to her, her mom would have been unconcerned if anyone was surprised. Benjamin was laid to rest at Graceland alongside Elvis. They were joined by Lisa Marie in 2023. The year 2023 was a watershed moment in Riley's story. On January 12th, at the young age of 54, her mother, Lisa Marie, passed away. The Elvis estate was entrusted to Riley as the sole trustee, a responsibility that amounted to $100 million. Riley was specifically named in a 2016 amendment to Lisa Marie's will. Priscilla Presley, however, took legal action to dispute it, arguing that Lisa's signature was illegible and that the document was not duly notarized. Ugliness ensued in the subsequent court battle. Court documents revealed that Riley had informed her grandma in a private letter that she had shielded her from Lisa Marie's threats to sue. There was no retreat from Priscilla. She made an effort to have Riley removed as executor of the $100 million Elvis Presley estate in particular. As the private family feud became public knowledge, the king's lineage became embroiled in a struggle for control. The two women finally settled their differences in May of 2023, but it wasn't cheap. In order to maintain peace, Riley had to pay Priscilla $1.44 million up front and an additional $400 annually. For 65 years, she was obligated to maintain Graceland's accessibility to the public. The fine might exceed $50 million if she was found guilty. To keep the estate in pristine condition, just as Elvis had left it, Riley also had to shell out more than $2,000 million annually. She broke down and said she felt emotionally drained by it all. As a result of the fight, she lost out on over $5 million in income and 3 film roles. Although the settlement granted her control, she did not perceive it as a victory. Keeping alive was the feeling. Then in May of 2024, yet another danger emerged. In an effort to sell Gratian, a business named Nosani Investments asserted that Lisa Marie owed them $3.8 million. Using Lisa Marie's identity, they had forged papers and created a false deed of trust. Riley, however, responded. After discovering the fraud, she sought an emergency injunction. The auction was immediately halted by a judge who deemed the documents to be fraudulent. The home that belonged to Elvis could have been sold for much less than its true worth had she not moved quickly. Private court documents revealed a different story from what Priscilla publicly stated in 2025 about her and Riley's close relationship. The cost of Riley's legal defense against her grandmother's lawsuit exceeded $1,000 million. Riley wrote to her in one letter, reminding her of the time she defended her from Lisa Marie's wrath and legal action. Riley was devastated and betrayed that Priscilla persisted in going to court against her despite everything that had happened. From 1993 to 2005, Lisa Marie claimed that Priscilla stole over $2,000 million from the estate. Riley had remained silent throughout, and now she was being held accountable. Riley revealed previously unseen details in the year 2025. She came clean about her arrest when she was around 15 or 16 years old on the podcast Call Her Daddy. It was a house that was up for sale, but she had assumed it was a friend's party. Riley had to contact Lisa Marie from behind bars after 10 people were arrested. Her mother was so enraged that she grounded her for 3 months. Riley was unaware that she was the subject of a mugshot, and the incident went unreported. She claimed she had never confided in anyone prior to this. She went on to say that she was unaware of the abuse claims against Michael Jackson, her stepfather, while she was a child living at Neverland Ranch ages 5 to 70. Claims began to surface in 1993, the year prior to his marriage to Lisa Marie, but Riley insisted that nobody had ever informed her. Neverland seemed like her true home to her. Even more so than Gratian, she claimed to have spent more time there. Riley made an additional admission in October 2024. Being Elvis's granddaughter, she claimed, unquestionably helped her career. She boasted about how she was able to secure agents and meetings by identifying as a Nepo baby. On the other hand, she did mention that her mom had cautioned her from a young age to take her work seriously or risk being seen as nothing more than an irritating celebrity kid. Benjamin and herself, she said, were both deeply affected by that message. Riley felt like she had just one more task to complete after Lisa Marie passed away in 2023. Riley had spoken of finishing her mother's memoir, From Here to the Great Unknown, which she had begun. Months passed as she remained in bed, engrossed in old tapes of Lisa Marie mourning Benjamin's death, Elvis's, and an addiction. More than 92,000 people have rated the memoir on Goodreads since its publication on October 8, 2024. The voice of Lisa Marie was narrated by Julia Roberts for the audiobook. Riley listened to her own